Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. Sorry about that, just switching us over. Just want to say we're back again for another stream, in an impromptu stream, as always on a Sunday at 7 p.m. So, again, we thought we'd put out a video. The season is actually fast approaching now. There's not long left. The Premier League season kicks off in 5 days. So, yeah, exciting times. The Community Shield has just finished. Obviously, Arsenal winning on penalties against Manchester City to win the Community Shield. We're going to talk about, the season in a whole, in terms of predictions. We're going to discuss, who we think is going to get the most points, who's going to score the most goals, who's going to get the most assists. I'll also get like a top 4 prediction from Jordan, relegation, all that stuff. And we'll also tinker with our teams a bit as well. And just talk about FPL and football in general and have a little fun stream before, obviously, the serious stuff kicks off next week where we do the team selection and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, how you doing, Jordan? Enjoying your weekend?
Yeah, enjoyed the weekend. It's nice to see a bit of Premier League teams battling at it, Man City and Arsenal, a little pre-season, little warm-up before the actual Premier League starts. But yeah, we don't really take much into consideration from obviously Community Shield. That was an interesting game to watch on both sides.
Yeah, we'll speak a bit about the Community Shield. We'll speak about what we learned from Man City and Arsenal in terms of what players we should be looking to include, because there was some interesting selection dilemmas. And let's start actually quickly on the Man City game then. Obviously, we saw Havertz come in again. We know Jesus was in a lot of our drafts. I think that's fair to say. He will be missing the first couple of games. That's been confirmed. And Havertz did play as a false 9, or as a number 9 today against Man City. He did have a couple of chances. He should have really scored, if we're being honest. But yeah, Havertz is one to watch, I think, in terms of he's playing up front. He's a midfielder. And he looks like he might start the game week 1 fixture, and he could be a decent punt if you believe he can score and get on the score sheet. Another one interesting is, I think you were looking at him, and even me. I've got him in my team. That's Phil Foden. He didn't start. So he came off the bench. He also was heavily involved in Manchester City's goal. I think he got the ball, he turned, and then he fed the ball to Palmer after that, and then Palmer obviously curled it into the top corner. Are you surprised to see what's your take on Foden not starting? Do you think that's a positive that he's being rested for the Premier League game, or do you see it the other way that you worry now he's a risk of not starting that game week 1?
No, I don't think it's much of a risk for Foden not starting in this match. I think there was a lot of players that were expected to start that were including Foden. Also, Haaland going off as well during that game. It just meant that maybe Pep isn't really too fixated on whether Man City were able to win the Community Shield. I mean, he would definitely want to obviously win it, because obviously Pep likes winning these matches. But I think there's more focus, obviously, on the Premier League, because Man City have lost now 3 Community Shields.
Obviously, so if we remember last season, Liverpool did win the Community Shield, and then we went on to have a terrible season, and Man City won the league. So obviously we got to take into account, obviously, it is just a Community Shield, it is a friendly, but the Arsenal did take it quite seriously, I thought. I think it was a decent game. But yeah, we'll discuss it into a bit more detail in terms of what it means for these assets. Obviously, John Stones did play. I think he's going to be in my team, I'm pretty sure, for game week 1. So obviously, as you guys can see on the screen, that is what my team looks like at the moment. And that was from about a week ago. So I'm probably going to change it. Nothing is final yet. But this obviously is the FPL predictions video. So we're going to predict, like top points, etc. So let's go for goals scored first. I think it's easy. As you guys know, Haaland was the top scorer last season. with 36 Premier League goals. I think you guys can see that, yet. And he was the top scorer, obviously breaking the Premier League record set by Mo Salah in the 2017 season. We had Harry Kane in second place with 30 goals. We had Tony, who will be suspended, I believe, until January. So we can't include him in the team. He was the third highest scorer in the league with 20 goals. And then at fourth, we had Mo Salah with 19. Then we had Wilson with 18. And then we had Rashford with 17. Um, what would you reckon, Jordan, in terms of like goals? Like, who do you see getting the charts again? Do you think it's going to be, again, Haaland, who just does the business and, scores a ton of goals again?
I think Haaland will definitely be up there in terms of top goal scorers. I do think he won't score as many goals as he has done, obviously in the previous season where he got 36. I think that'll be less this season coming up because obviously teams now know Haaland is a threat, and as we saw in the Arsenal game, Haaland couldn't do really much in that game. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 players literally on him anytime the ball came near to Haaland. So teams are now aware how dangerous Haaland is, and obviously he will be marked more than one man on him. So that may mean that Haaland's more isolated in those positions and means less goals to come towards his way. Maybe we see it more coming from other Man City players because Alvarez did play today as well. He was really close to Haaland, so potentially the goals might be a bit more shared. In terms of top goal scorers, in terms of predictions, it's very hard to call it because obviously Ivan Toney, as we know, is suspended, and Harry Kane, as we know, doesn't want to stay at Spurs and wants to leave. So
Harry Kane just scored 4 goals in today's friendly, so it's a bit of a reminder that he is still a great asset to have. And a lot of us don't even have Harry Kane in our teams, but Spurs have one. I think it's 4-1 or 4-0. Let us know in the chat. But I know Harry Kane scored 4.
That's pretty mad. He scored 4.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I think prediction-wise, and this might be a pretty long shot one, I think Darwin Núñez could possibly be a top goal scorer in the season. And now this might be a wild, mad prediction, but I have a sort of feeling he's going to get potentially maybe 25 plus goals this season.
Premier League goals.
Yeah, Premier League goals. 25 Premier League goals plus, I think. Now, this could be completely off the radar in terms of how close this is, but I have a feeling, especially in pre-season, we've seen Darwin more clinical than what we saw in last season, where he had so many chances to score, but he could never finish them. But he's shown in pre-season for Liverpool that now he's starting to finish his chances well, and potentially, if he is to start games for Liverpool as well, he could be a potential top goal scorer for them.
Yeah, obviously, I expect Haaland. It's boring, but I do think Haaland is going to finish top scorer again. I think he will get fewer goals, obviously 36. I'm expecting maybe 30-ish for Haaland. I think Harry Kane again is going to be up there. I do believe Harry Kane will probably get 25 again, around that mark. I think Salah will be up there again. I think Salah will get around the 20, 21, 22 mark. So I think the usual suspects will be up there. Your Haalands, your Kanes, and Salah. I still think those 3 will be the top 3. But we do want to get, obviously, some dark horse picks. Who do we think we could do well? You've mentioned Darwin Núñez as a player that you think could potentially hit double-digit goals. We're looking at Núñez last season. He got 9 goals in the Premier League, and 15, I think it was, in all competitions. So it wasn't the worst season ever for Núñez. 9 Premier League goals, but it wasn't the greatest. And we know he missed quite a lot of chances. He wasn't as clinical. So it is an interesting one to see, Núñez, especially with Liverpool's attack, with the abundance they have now. Obviously, Liverpool got players like Gakpo as well who can play in that role, Jota, etc. So yeah, Liverpool's an interesting shout. So, but I'm assuming you still expect Haaland to obviously be top scorer, but Darwin's your dark horse, or do you expect some drop off, a big drop off of Haaland? So I don't see it.
No, I don't expect a big drop off, but I do expect fewer goals this season for him to score. But obviously, it was his first season to the Premier League, no one really knew how Haaland would play in the Premier League. So I think now, after a season, he's a bit more established. A lot of teams now know how Haaland does play and where his dangerous positions are in the final third. So yeah, I expect fewer goals from Haaland. Obviously, probably expected to score the most goals, but just to be a little different, I'm just going to throw in Darwin in there as one of the top goal scorers.
Okay, that's an interesting shout. Let's move on to assists. So again, we'll take a look at the assist charts. You know, De Bruyne did end up as the top assister, I believe, with 18 assists, which is obviously a very good amount, very good number to have in terms of assists. Trossard ended the season on 13 assists, which is tied with Mo Salah. Now, Mo Salah, again, 19 goals, 13 assists. Well, a lot of people thought Mo Salah had a poor season by his standards, but he's still got a decent amount of numbers. 13 assists for him. Saka done pretty well as well, getting 12 assists, along with Mahrez, who's obviously now left to Saudi. Gibbs White, pretty good as well, 12 assists. Olise, 11 assists. So assist is kind of tough to measure. Who you think is going to get the most? I think De Bruyne obviously didn't start. He came off the bench today. Do you expect De Bruyne again to top it, the assist chart, or do you think? Obviously, it's very tough to say. You know, assist who's going to get the most assists. But do you have someone in mind that you think might be up there this season?
There's two players I have in mind that possibly maybe up there in the top positions for assists. One of them being is Trent. I think in that inverted right back position, as we did see him later on in last season, he was getting a lot of assists each game from that position. And because he's in that favourable position now, I think we are going to expect more assists from him. Probably more assists and clean sheets potentially for Liverpool for him. He did get 9 last season, so I do expect him to get more.
Wasn't it 11?
Or was it 11?
Yeah, it was 11 assists, I think, from this anyway. It says 11. So this column, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my mistake. Yeah, 11 assists. Then. Yeah, I do expect him to get more than 11.
I mean, obviously, Trent did struggle at the start of the season, as we know, in FPL. He wasn't getting many clean sheets. He wasn't getting many goals or assists. And then, obviously, towards the back end, I think he got 5 assists in 1 month, something like that, which is one of the most in a single month period. So, yeah, I think Trent is an interesting shout. I do think he'll get a lot more assists as well this season. And that's a good shout. I didn't really consider Trent straight away. I think De Bruyne again will be up there. I do expect City to do well again. We'll come on to who we think is going to win the league, etc. But yeah, I wouldn't rule out KDB topping that again. Trent, I think, is going to be up there for sure. I think Salah, Saka, again, I think could do well. Who was your other shout you had?
The other shout I had is a Man United player, and that is Bruno Fernandes. He's another player that could potentially be up there in the assist charts.
9 last season for Bruno. But
a bit low last season, but again, Man United were a bit iffy at times. But I do expect now for Bruno to be further up, I think, in positions for assists in this season, just because there's more structure in that midfield now that we've signed Mason Mount. And we've also signed now a forward of Man United. So potentially now that Fernandes is also a captain as well. He's on set pieces too. And yeah, there's all those potentials that Bruno, as we know, he's a decent player to feed the ball to those attackers like Rashford and whatnot. And yeah, if people are more clinical at Man United in terms of forwards, I think Bruno can be up there in assists.
Yeah, of course, Man United have just signed Højlund from Atalanta, and obviously we know Man United did lack in goals last season because a lot of their goals came from Rashford, and whenever Rashford didn't score, they did struggle. And obviously you'd be hoping that Højlund could, help in and chip in with the goals. So Bruno definitely, I do see him getting more assists than last season. If those forwards can be clinical. So yeah, that's a good shout. You know, Bruno is in a lot of our teams as well, so we'll be hoping that he can get a few more assists. In regards to clean sheets, hold on. Goalkeepers. I think Ramsdale and Allison. That can't be right, is it? Obviously, De Gea's. Oh yeah, De Gea's not in the game anymore. Obviously, because he's gone. So I don't think they've included De Gea on here. But Man United obviously had the most clean sheets, I believe. But yeah, I mean, with goalies, a lot of us are going for. What do you make of Onana? Obviously, a lot of us. I think he's become quite a popular pick, the Man United goalie, due to him being 5 million. Do you see Man United getting a good amount of clean sheets again this season?
Yeah, I think they can keep up the clean sheets. I mean, I was surprised how many.
How many did they get, by the way, last season? Do you know off the top?
Off the top, I'm not sure how many they actually got last season.
I'm gonna actually check. I think it was 17 clean sheets, Man United, last season, which was the most in the league.
That's actually surprising.
And then Allison got 14, and Ramsdale also had 14. So Pope had 14 as well, was tied, and Raya, Martinez, Edison 11. So a lot of us did own Edison, but yeah, obviously we don't really like having the most expensive goalkeepers. Like obviously Allison's 5.5, Ramsdale's actually 5 million. So we could go for Ramsdale instead of Onana if you want to get Arsenal coverage. But yeah, you expect United again? Or for me, I think I don't know actually, because I was going to say Edison and because I think Man City are probably the best defensive team in the league, but Edison somehow was conceding last season. But I'm going to go with Man City again for most clean sheets. So Edison, I'll go with him.
For me, I'm probably going to go with Pope. I think Newcastle can keep a few amount of deep clean sheets this season. I think they got pretty good defense. I've shown that from last season as well. And Nick Pope was quite popular at one point last season with the fixtures Newcastle had when it was. Well, throughout the season, I think Nick Pope was pretty much a favourite to have, other than Trippier, because a lot of players did take long shots against Nick Pope, and I think because of that, he always kept clean sheets, because there was not really any chances where when you played against Newcastle, you had shots that were close encounters, so there was not many situations where Nick Pope was.
Yeah, also were strong at home, weren't they? They had a good home record, Newcastle, last season, defensively as well. And obviously, bonus points, I think Pope was quite good for that as well.
Absolutely. I think I'll go with another goalkeeper that I think may be up there as well. I'm going to go for Steele as one of the other goalkeepers, I think, for Brighton, who may keep a few clean sheets.
He made a massive blunder today, though, in the preseason game. I think I haven't watched it back, but I heard he made a massive blunder, and he was subbed off at half time. So if anyone's watched it, let us know what happened. But I'll probably have to watch the game afterwards. I'm actually not sure with Steele if he's going to be starting, because I know Brighton have bought a new goalkeeper. I think his name's pronounced Verbruggen. I don't know if I butchered his name. He could start as well. So it'll be interesting to see who actually starts for Brighton in goal. But yeah, one to watch. I'm not going to do goals conceded. We'll go back to the team. Switch it over now. So I've not really seen your team since. I'm probably going to change this because I don't think this is going to be my team. But what do you make of top four? Obviously, you watched Arsenal, Man City, the two teams that challenged last season for the league. Do you see those two again challenging for the league? or do you think there'll be another team potentially in the race?
No, I do think Arsenal and Man City are pretty much, well, Arsenal's pretty much the closest I think that you can come to Man City in terms of their progression as a team. I don't think there's any team that's even close to where Arsenal and Man City were last season. And I think it'll just be between them two. I think other teams are still gradually getting, uh, obviously, their players and team structured together because there has been a lot of downfall, like as we've seen from Spurs. Maybe we see Newcastle be a contender between them two teams, at Arsenal and Man City, but I just think it's just them two. I think that will come close to Premier League title race.
Okay, fair enough. What's your thoughts if you had to say a top four then? Because you're backing Newcastle. Do you think Newcastle can get top four? And if so, that means obviously one of Liverpool and Man United will drop out. What do you reckon for a top four? If we're assuming, Man City will probably be in the top four. Arsenal, we're saying they'll be in there as well. Who do you think the final two spots?
I think Liverpool with the other spot, and the final team I think will be, I think Man United. I think that'll be my top four prediction: Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same. I think it's gonna be. I think Newcastle could drop out. Again, I think next season actually 5th place gets Champions League football, so it's technically a top 5 next season due to the new rule change with the Champions League. I think the top 5 gets Champions League football, so there could be 5 teams playing European football anyway. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I think in terms of the top 4, I do expect Liverpool to get back into the top 4. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because obviously as a Liverpool fan, I'm not as confident as I was. We could break down each team. I did want to discuss preseason. Obviously, this is a predictions video, but I want to talk about preseason as well and what we've seen. I don't know how much preseason you've seen, if you've kept up much with the teams, but I've seen quite a bit. I've seen quite a few Man United matches. Obviously, I've kept an eye on Liverpool. I've watched a couple Arsenal matches in preseason. Have you been watching much preseason, or are you one of those that prefers to watch when that season actually starts?
I actually haven't watched much preseason. I've only seen the results from preseason matches and maybe followed the live feeds from preseason matches. But I think I'm pretty much a player that likes to watch what actually happens in the Premier League when it starts rather than what happens in the preseason, because that is a bit of a kick around sort of thing. So I think when the Premier League starts, we'll actually see who the main focal points are for players.
Yeah, of course, preseason you've got to take it with a pinch of salt as well, because obviously a lot of it is about fitness, a lot about they play with most teams switch out the entire 11 at half time, etc. So there is those caveats, but it's nice to see, I guess, how the new signings do and little formation tweaks, tactics. But yeah, let's discuss. I do want to discuss the top 4, top 6 teams. They're looking at Man City. They've just signed Gvardiol as well, the new centre back for 78 million. He becomes the second most expensive defender of all time. He's going to be, I think, a big signing. So there could be some rotation in that Man City defense. Man City have also signed Kovacic, who did start obviously today against Arsenal. Liverpool's an interesting outfit as well in pre-season. They've scored a lot of goals. I think 15 goals scored from Liverpool so far. And but Liverpool have also conceded, I believe, 10 goals in like 4 games. So they are conceding quite a lot. Also, as a Liverpool fan, I've been watching pretty much every game and I've been keeping up with them. And obviously, I think you have Darwin in your draft as well. I've got him in right now. But this was pre-Bayern. And against Bayern Munich, Darwin was actually on the bench. And then that kind of made me think, should I go with Darwin if he's been benched against Bayern Munich? So what I think, as I sit here right now, Darwin might be changed because I'm not sure if he's going to start, guys. I have a feeling Klopp is going to go with Salah, Gakpo, and Jota as the front 3 against Chelsea on next Sunday on the first Premier League game. Look, I could be wrong, but if I had to choose right now, I think I think Gakpo is going to be preferred over Darwin in that game week 1. So that's one to watch. Obviously, Liverpool play again actually tomorrow. Liverpool have their final preseason game, so I'll be watching that and seeing what Klopp does go with. He could go with Darwin in that one, so we'll see. There is that obviously worry with the 5 attackers Liverpool have. In terms of Man United, I think Fernandes is going to play, of course. Rashford, those are the nailed guys. I think Højlund has a slight injury. I think he's got a slight injury, so he might not be fit to start of the season as well. Arsenal again, Jesus, we could take him out of our team because he's injured. Havertz, Jordan, what do you make of Havertz, and is he an option for you? He might play as up front, and he's a midfielder.
Well, I wasn't quite keen on Havertz, if I'm honest. In obviously the Community Shield match, I think he could have done a lot more better in different situations, especially when Odegaard, in one moment in the midfield, he passed the ball to him, and he went to challenge a Man City player, and I think he easily lost the ball when he could have easily got past the Man City player. So I think with Havertz, there's still a lot that he can learn from matches, and I think it's early days to consider bringing Havertz into your team, because I still think he is adjusting. Obviously, in that new position, he usually plays more further up front, but he's playing more in the midfield, in the centre.
No, he played up front today. Obviously,
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it was obviously playing up front because obviously Jesus is injured. But there was obviously rumours that when he signed, he could play as a midfielder. But I think because of the injury, he looks like he could start up front. That's what I was saying. Would you consider him now that you've seen him play up front? He did have a couple of chances. He probably should have scored. But he's going to have, he's got Nottingham Forest and he's going to be playing up front potentially. So I was thinking that could be a bit of a, maybe that tempts people to include Havertz. Obviously, Darwin's there. There's Watkins as well. Because obviously now that, a lot of us had Jesus, but that's kind of changed the template a bit, I think. Because some people are going to go Darwin, Watkins, Havertz. Some people, I think, will go there. But I know he's a midfielder. Maybe people play with one up front with Haaland.
Yeah.
There's Gakpo as well.
Yeah, because the main two were focused to bring in was Nkunku or Jesus.
Yeah.
But because of those two now, pretty much got injuries now. It's a bit of a less of a pick to go for, because you only really got Darwin or Havertz, but these.
There's also the Newcastle guys. The Newcastle Isak you could go for. He's not been spoken about much. If we go on, sorry, let me just make this a bit. Can you see that? So let me make it a bit bigger. Also, the comments are still on Foden. I'm not sure. I don't think I will be on Foden. I mean, that kind of, obviously, him not starting today does worry me a bit, that there is that rotation there. So Foden could easily go, if I'm being honest. I may not go with him. I did like him as a pick because, as you saw when he played again, he was involved in Man City's goal. So I'm surprised that Pep doesn't start him in games. Maybe that's just one off and he's going to start in the Premier League, but I might not take that risk. I might have to take Foden out and bring someone else in.
Yeah, I think for me, I think that's just a one-off. I think just because it was that Community Shield match, because there was a lot of questionable things in that game where, especially when Harden was taken off for Palmer, even though it did quite work out well for that substitution, Palmer did score, I still think it was a little weird that Harden came off in the 60th minute, where you would think he would play the 90 minutes of football.
Yeah, but Haaland still started. Foden's not starting. That's more. I know it wasn't a Premier League game, so we have to take that into consideration. But at least Haaland played 60. And is Foden a starter when Grealish is there? Bernardo. Obviously, there was Rodri and then Kovacic as well. So
yeah, I don't expect Kovacic to start. I don't think in that game. So I do think position changes will be different in that. Maybe Grealish will play on the right and Foden on the left or whatnot. Okay. I don't think it'll be the same setup, but definitely what they played in the Community Shield. I think Foden will start against Burnley. I think him not starting in the Community Shield is a good thing, maybe.
Yeah, we might get team news as well because it's a Friday game. If we get early team news, we'll probably find out whether Foden starts or not. So we'll be looking out for that. If we hear Hope Foden starts, then he could be in the team. But in regards to the rest, what else was I going to say actually? About Man City. Haaland again, he's going to be a lock. I'm pretty sure. But we're looking at the striker situation. Obviously, there's. Let me go on forwards actually. So, Kane, are we underlooking Kane again? 4 goals in preseason today. There's still slight rumors that he could leave to Bayern. I don't think he will, if I'm being honest. I think Harry Kane will stay. It's very unlikely now. I think he leaves kind of late. Season starts in a week. Harry Kane, Jordan, are we underlooking Harry Kane again after last season where he still got 30 goals? None of us really had him. No, are we just missing the obvious thing? Just have Haaland and Kane?
Probably, yeah. I think I did start with Harry Kane and Haaland up front in my first draft, my team when Fantasy Football was released. And now I don't have her in my team. And I'm thinking, again, is this a mistake that we're going to do again where we don't have Kane and he somehow goes on to be one of the top goal scorers for Spurs again, despite Spurs not having maybe the best start of this season. But Kane, regardless, will still score the goals for them. There is that crept into my mind that is a possibility that might happen again because there isn't really another goal scorer for Spurs that I think is up to Kane's standards. Maybe Son, probably the closest you'll get to, or maybe Maddison, but I think Kane will still be the top goal scorer for Spurs.
Oh, yeah, Kane's the main man. So they won 5-1. I just checked against Shakhtar Donetsk. And Kane obviously getting the 4 goals. But yeah, maybe we are overlooking him. Watkins is an interesting one actually because he's scored a couple goals in preseason as well, and he's looked quite good. I think Aston Villa fans have mentioned Watkins that is looking good in preseason. We saw what he did at the back end of last season when Emery came in. He was getting goals pretty much on a weekly basis. Have you considered Watkins? Because I'm actually now considering Watkins instead of Darwin because I know Watkins is more nailed than Darwin, and we know Watkins, I believe he's on penalties. That's not confirmed. But are you a fan of Watkins? Obviously, he did do well last season as well.
Yeah, he did have a decent season underneath Emery, Ollie Watkins. I don't know if I want to start with Ollie Watkins because he does have Newcastle in his first fixture, but I guess his fixtures after that are pretty decent. When he has Everton, Burnley, but then has Liverpool. But after Liverpool in game week 4, the fixtures become more easier. So yeah, there is potential for Ollie Watkins as a decent forward option. I just wouldn't put him in my team in the first game week. I think I'll look at it against Newcastle and see how he does against a tougher opponent, and take it from there. But I think because it's a tough start for Aston Villa, I will look at Ollie Watkins in that game.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins is an interesting one. I think he's going to be a lot more popular now that Nkunku has been injured, as well as Jesus. His ownership is 21%, so he is climbing. Kane is currently 11%, so Kane's a bit of a differential right now. Because obviously it's hard to fit both Kane and Haaland in, but it is possible. Wilson, again, he's under 10% owned by managers. Looking at his fixtures, looks like a tough start on paper. He's got Aston Villa, and then Man City, and then Liverpool, and then Brighton, and then Brentford. So Newcastle do have quite a tough start on paper. A lot of us don't have any Newcastle assets. Trippier, very popular last season. It seems no one really has him that I've seen, even though his ownership is quite high. Are we ignoring Newcastle because they are, they did get the Champions League last season? They were one of the top 4 teams in the league. We expect them to kick on. They've obviously signed a couple players as well. Sandro Tonali's joined in midfield. They've also signed Harvey Barnes, which is a decent addition. And they also signed Livramento, I think, from Southampton. Do you think Wilson can still be a nice differential maybe in these games? They may not win all these games, but can Wilson still get the goal against Liverpool, against Villa, etc.? And is he in your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Newcastle can still score against these difficult teams. May not win them, but Newcastle can still score in these tough fixtures like they did last season. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt Callum Wilson to score maybe against Man City or Liverpool. I mean, we've seen Ivan Toney score against Man City last season, where Brentford were against him. So yeah, it's always possible that Callum Wilson could have a great start despite the fixtures, because we also have to look at the form of the player as well as the difficulty on the fixtures as well. So I still think Callum Wilson would do well. I don't think he's in my line of sight for me personally in terms of forward options to go for at the start of the game, but he is on penalties too, so I guess you can look at that. It's sort of a bonus to include Callum Wilson if you want to go there.
I think game week 6 onwards looks quite nice. Game week 6 got Sheffield and then Burnley, West Ham, Palace, Wolves. That 6 till 10 looks like when you want to load up on some Newcastle players if they start, well, if they look good. I think no one's really going to 6.5 million Solanke. I don't think we're going to go there. The fixtures aren't great either. Very tough. West Ham haven't had a great preseason either. So Liverpool, Spurs, Brentford, Chelsea, Brighton, Arsenal. That does look pretty tough. So I think we'll be avoiding Solanke. Wissa is an interesting one because he's expected to actually start with no Tony. Obviously, Mbeumo is going to be there. A lot of us have Mbeumo in our team. But Wissa, he's the one actually playing up front because Mbeumo is going to play obviously wide. So Wissa, I think it could be underlooked. He's owned by only 4.5% of managers, so super low owned. He's got Spurs, Fulham, Palace, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton, Forest. The fixtures look quite good. If you need a cheap striker, if you want to have Salah, Haaland, or Kane Haaland, can Wissa be a good option, Jordan?
Yeah, he could be a decent option if he can kick off with a great start. I mean, 6 million for forward. If he becomes like a very clinical forward, he may be potentially one of the best forward starts to go for at that price. I mean, there's not many forwards priced at 6 million that we'd want to really go for. I think Ferguson for Brighton 6 million or 6.5.
But again, we don't know if he's going to start. Wissa, you would expect him to start pretty much every game if he's fit, really.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, he did score against Man United last season. So yeah, he is one of those players that could score big in even tough matches too. Considering Brentford had easy fixtures to start off with, there's high hopes that Wissa can kick off Brentford's start really well.
Obviously, we have to do the community draft as well because something we spoke about. Well, Wissa as a differential, I do like him for a cheap forward. On the chat, we've got Michael who comments thoughts on Nico Jackson, obviously the Chelsea new boy. Let's get Nico Jackson up. So Nico Jackson looks like he's going to start against Liverpool game week 1. He's looked quite good in preseason, if I'm being honest. He has scored a couple goals. Chelsea fans seem to like him. He's been getting involved. He looks like an improvement on what they've had in previous years. Obviously, Nkunku is a big miss, I think, for Chelsea. Sorry, game week 1. I don't know if you watched much of Nico Jackson on preseason, but he looked good. But have you considered this one, Chelsea asset? What's your thoughts, Nicholas Jackson? Ownership 13% of managers that own him as well, so it's still fairly low owned.
I haven't given him much thought, if I'm honest. Nicholas Jackson. I haven't seen him in pre-season, but again, he's another player that hasn't played in the Premier League before, so it will be interesting to see how he adjusts to playing in the Premier League against these teams. Again, it's Chelsea. You just don't know with Chelsea, especially when they got Liverpool and then West Ham in their first 2, which I think may be one of those observations that we'll have to look at to really go for these forwards in terms of Chelsea. So yeah, I think for me still, I think it's a wait and see for Chelsea how they cope this season, especially at the start when obviously their first game is against Liverpool, even though it's a home fixture. I think that'll be definitely one where all eyes will be, most eyes will be on Nicholas Jackson to see how he does.
Yeah, I like having a Chelsea player. I think I will have a Chelsea player. Obviously, I think having one is quite good, especially with the fixtures. I think Liverpool, yeah, that could be a tough game, but from what I see as a Liverpool fan, I don't bank on Liverpool keeping many clean sheets as of now, as the squad is, because Liverpool still don't have a recognised six in their squad, so no defensive midfielder. Obviously, Fabinho's left. Looks like Curtis Jones could be the number six, and if that's the case, I wouldn't be ruling out Chelsea getting a couple goals against Liverpool. So I like Nicholas Jackson. If you are looking for a differential, I think he could be a good shout, as well as the other Chelsea assets like a Ben Chilwell that could have some, some joy against Liverpool. And then again, after that, I don't think West Ham have had the greatest of pre-seasons. A lot of their fans I've spoke to a few West Ham fans, and they're not confident at all for this season. They've just sold Declan Rice, and West Ham haven't actually signed a single player, I don't think, so far. They're the only club, I think, that hasn't actually bought a player. They are close to signing Edson Alvarez, the defensive midfielder from Ajax, so maybe that helps them. But as of now, fixtures don't look bad. Luton, Forest, Bournemouth, Villa, could be a nice differential. And yeah, I do like him, Michael. I think he's could be a good option. Going back to the forwards, for other forwards, Darwin. We spoke about Darwin. What we think of Darwin. Obviously, you think he could do quite well this season. Obviously, 9 league goals last season. Again, the fixtures for Liverpool aren't too bad. I think Chelsea could be a tough one. But you could still see Liverpool scoring in that game. They might not win. Bournemouth, I am going to that match, so hopefully it is a big scoring game. You can see Darwin potentially getting a goal in that one. But with Darwin, I think again, I'm not 100% sure he starts game week 1. Because I think Gakpo could start, and if that's the case, I wouldn't want Darwin if I don't know he's not going to start. I know he can come on and score, but I'd rather have a player that's more nailed to play 90 minutes. Brighton, I think João Pedro is an interesting one. We've got to speak about João Pedro because Brighton actually had a preseason match, obviously just earlier. I'm just seeing the score, and obviously João Pedro took a penalty, and he scored. So that's 2 penalties now that João Pedro has stepped up for, while Pascal Gross has been on the pitch, and it looks like João Pedro is the penalty taker for Brighton now. So that's very, very interesting, guys. He's only 5.5 million striker playing for Brighton, which we know is a good attack. And yeah, he's just he's a penalty taker, really, as far as we can see. So, are you tempted by João Pedro? Obviously, new signing for Brighton, came for a decent amount of money from Watford, and he looks like a good player from what I hear as well. Obviously, have you thought about going for a cheap forward like a João Pedro and moving the money elsewhere?
Yeah, I've contemplated going for a cheap forward player like João Pedro or maybe Ferguson if he does start. I think going for a cheap Brighton forward could be a decent move to make. You are saving a fair bit of money as well on that because he's 5.5 million, João Pedro. So for a forward, it's very affordable. And with the fixtures too, Luton at home in the first fixture, one of the best fixtures to kick off game week 1 with. So yeah, you definitely want to include a Brighton player. Maybe João Pedro is one of those players because if he does get a penalty and if he is the penalty taker for Brighton now, then yeah, that's a win-win. I think, especially with his ownership being 6.4 is a differential. Not many people are going to look at this as an opportune player to go for. So maybe he is underlooked as well.
Yeah, I think João Pedro is an interesting one. If you need to save money and you want to go with the cheap forward, he's probably the best 5.5 million player to go for. So yeah, I am looking at him. Luton, Wolves, West Ham to kick the season off. So that's 3 good fixtures right there. And obviously Brighton are actually close. I think they've agreed a fee with Ajax for Mohamed Kudus. So if he comes in again, that's another great signing if they can pull it off. So Brighton, I like what they're doing in the transfer window. So let's see if they can bring that in. And Pedro, Kudus, Mitoma, that could be a nice front line at Brighton are building for next season. Looking at other options, not really a fan of obviously going for Forest or, I mean, Gakpo. I do like Gakpo. He's only owned by 5.8% of managers. I think that's very low. I think that is because a lot of people expect Darwin to start. However, I wouldn't be surprised, guys, as I said, if Cody Gakpo starts for Liverpool against Chelsea. I can actually see it happening. Again, I think he's a brilliant player. From what I've watched last season, back in the last season, and even in preseason, he looks really good. And his pressing's good. His link-up play overall is better than Darwin's as of now. And yeah, I think he's a good option as well. But again, it comes down to that rotation risk potentially, because he can get subbed off for the likes of Jota or Darwin. But yeah, Cody Gakpo, if you want to be different, at 7.5, could be one to consider. Isak, someone popular from last season, his ownership's 14%, so surprisingly quite high with the fixtures he's got. I'd prefer Wilson over an Isak. But what's your thoughts on so you kind of given your thoughts on Wilson? If you had to pick between Wilson and Isak, who would you go for?
I think I still would pick Wilson, because I think there was that last season, that choice who to go for. With it, was it Isak or Wilson, or was it both of them to go for? And it ended up being Wilson was the better optimal choice, because we saw more goals, and obviously Wilson got penalties. Yeah, which made a massive difference last season. If you remember when Newcastle had the double, and Wilson ended up scoring in both those doubles, and I think both of them were penalties, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, it did end up Wilson being a better choice. So I think, again, I think Wilson's just has an edge over Isak just because Wilson does take penalties and Newcastle to get fewer than last season.
Another forward, if you want to go cheap, 5 million, could be Vinicius at Fulham, Everton opening day, Brentford, Arsenal, Man City. I don't think many are going to consider him, but just want to, if you do need a forward, because it looks like Mitrovic could be on the way out. Manchester United's new player, obviously, Højlund, he's not, I don't believe, in the game yet, because I don't think we still have a price for him, but he could be an option. But again, if not for match day one, because he may not be fit. But I think those are the strikers most people will be looking at. I don't think Mitrovic will be looked at, especially at the price, 7.5, and he's rumoured to be on the way out. So we'll have to see what happens there. West Ham, I'm not keen on them. Fixtures aren't too bad at the start, but they haven't looked good in pre-season, and I think Moyes is under pressure, apparently, according to some of their fans. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one this season for sure. And this is what I've settled on at the moment. Let us know what you guys think of the team. Also, we've got to build a community draft as well. We'll do that in a sec. Also, I want to say, guys, if you are enjoying the content, as always, don't forget to drop a like on the video. It really helps support the channel. So yeah, please like and also subscribe if you are new around here, because obviously a lot of content to come this season. Also, make sure you do join our Discord server. The link is in the description, where you can chat to us and the rest of the community that we're trying to build. So do check that out. Also, our socials are at the top of the screen. So make sure you do follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well. Got a question here. Who's the best 5.5 million defender to start with? I've got two 5.5 million defenders in my team. So I've gone with John Stones, and I've got Ben Chilwell at the moment. Jordan, if you want to bring your team up, actually I haven't seen what you've got currently. Who would you say is the best 5.5? I like having a Man City defender like a John Stones. So I want to be a bit different. So I have added Chilwell in. His ownership is 11% currently. So I'm going to be different and say Ben Chilwell. I do like having an Arsenal, having a Chelsea asset, just because I think of the upside. I think Chilwell has looked a bit attacking in pre-season, getting involved. And again, I look at Chilwell's fixtures. Liverpool, I still think I can see Chelsea getting some goals potentially in that game, because I don't think Liverpool look solid defensively. There's still issues with Liverpool's shape. They'll still look open for me in transition. After that, they've got West Ham. Luton, Forest, Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham. So they're not the worst games. And obviously there's Reece James as well. If you want to go, obviously he's a bit more risky in terms of potential injury. But yeah, I don't mind Ben Chilwell to be a bit different. John Stones is an interesting one. Again, we know what he can do. His ownership is 28%, so it's quite high. And for me, I've added him in just for clean sheet potential. But what do you reckon, Jordan, for your defender picks? Like, who do you like at that price bracket, 5.5?
I'm trying to think who else is 5.5 other than Stones, because I don't have any 5.5 million defenders in my
Can you bring
team.
up your team?
Yeah, I can bring up my team so you can see what it looks like. If I had to pick, I'd probably say Ben White. That's the other choice.
Is he 5.5? Oh yeah, he is, isn't he?
He is, but yeah, apart from Stones, I can't really. It's not really only one I would really want to start with. Other than that,
I mean, they're the only 5.5s anyway, aren't they? So I think it's
that's true.
White, Stones, Chilwell. Hold on. There's Luke Shaw actually. My bad. There is Luke Shaw, but I'd rather have Onana, I think. But I don't mind Luke Shaw. There's Stones. I think Van Dijk, is he 5.5?
No.
If you mean 5. I mean, Reece James is 5.5. Reece James could be an option, but again, I worry about his injuries and him getting a relapse of that in matches. But other than that, yeah, I think there isn't as many 5.5 options anyway. I prefer the 5 million. I like Gabriel at 5 million, Estupiñán's 5 million. So there are a lot of cheap options you can go for. And even the Timber at 5 million at Arsenal. So yeah. That's what the team looks like right now. There will be definitely changes. I don't think I will go with Foden, but I'm going to wait till team news. Darwin could easily go, guys, for me. He's kind of a placeholder for now. I don't know who to yet. Got a comment here from Roku. I shared my draft on Twitter. What do you think? I'll check, actually. Got it. I'll just read the team out if I can't get it on the screen. So he's got Ederson in goal, a back four of Gabriel, Estupiñán, Luke Shaw, and Ben Chilwell, a midfield three of Saka, Mitoma, and Rashford, and then front three of Haaland, Kane, Wissa. I've not really seen many people play the 4-3-3, so it's quite an interesting team actually. What do you think of that team, Jordan? See, Gabriel, Estupiñán, Shaw, and Chilwell, so 4-man defense. Saka, Mitoma, Rashford, 3-man midfield, and then up top they got 3 as well: Haaland, Kane, and Wissa. That looks quite good to me.
Yeah, that's very different. Interesting how that's expensive as well. So I wonder what the bench is like for that expensive 11.
In the bench, they've got Turner in goal, Nakamba as a midfielder, Anderson as a 4.5 million midfielder at Newcastle as well, and then Baldock as a 4 million defender as well, I think. So, yeah, and obviously Roku says Kane scored 4 today and most likely staying. Yeah, I think Kane will stay. That's just my opinion now. I think it's kind of late now with the season kicking off soon. And yeah, Kane did score 4 and he's got Brentford away, game week 1. So let's bring up the fixtures actually, because I think Spurs could be an interesting team because obviously they've just signed Maddison as well. And I've seen Maddison in a few teams. I bring up Kane's fixtures. It looks pretty good on paper. You know, Brentford, Man United, Bournemouth, Burnley, Sheffield. Are you considering Kane, Jordan, again? Because obviously, when the game came out, you were saying, I'm going to go with Kane. What made you change your mind on Harry Kane?
I don't actually know. I think it was the off-putting news of him leaving. I think put me off. And obviously the rumours of him not wanting to stay at Spurs. But I think regardless of anything that happens to Harry Kane, he's still going to score for Spurs and his team. So maybe I do go back to Harry Kane, but it does mean I would have to fundamentally change my team structure again because Kane is expensive at 12.5 million. It would mean I couldn't have Trent in my team, which I do have at the moment. So I would have to sacrifice Trent for someone else, and obviously make room for Harry Kane to go up front with Haaland. But
Yeah, I hear that. Oroku says I prefer Kane over Salah. To be honest, last season he was very close to Haaland too. Yeah, 30 goals. See, Haaland only scored 6 more, and I think Haaland scored more penalties as well than Harry Kane, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Harry Kane definitely, if he stays, we know what he can do. He's probably going to get 25 plus goals. He's on penalties. He's nailed to play 90 minutes. He's Spurs' main man. Most of their goals are going to come from him as well. So yeah, maybe we should just have both of them, Haaland and Kane. But yeah, Kane's ownership's 11%, so it is a differential still, which is mad. Also, what do you make of Maddison? He just signed for Spurs. Are you keen on him or?
Anything for Maddison now is the rotation between him and maybe Kulusevski. I think between them two, maybe there's limited minutes between both. Maybe not full 90 minutes for Maddison.
Yeah, I think they'll play together, to be fair. Obviously, Kulusevski's on the right, Son's on the left, Maddison in the middle, in the hole behind Kane. So I don't worry about that. I think Maddison could be actually a good option. We saw what he did last season in terms of goals for that Leicester team. He did get double digits for goals and assists, I think. So I think Maddison could be underlooked. 11%, 11.9% ownership. So I think people are probably going to, if Harry Kane leaves, obviously, which I don't think will happen, even Richarlison, I think, becomes a good option if Kane leaves. But again, we do expect Kane to stay. Anyway, Jordan, let's do the community draft that we had planned. So for those that don't know, actually, let me just read this question out from Azuma. Welcome to the channel. Do you think Salah and another 6.5 million mid is worth the money following the minutes of Foden and Martinelli? So assuming what the question is saying is, let's say that 6.5 million is a Mitoma or a Mbeumo. So would you rather have Jordan Salah and Mitoma, or Foden and Martinelli?
I probably want Salah and Mitoma over Foden and Martinelli, only because Martinelli may not play 90-minute football because he does rotate with Trossard, and on the other hand, you'll see Mitoma probably play full 90-minute football unless he gets rested. But I do expect him to start and play 90 minutes, and obviously Salah is the same thing. He'll play 90-minute football. He's on penalties, and he's a top goal. He's one of the top goal scorers to do.
Yeah, Salah's an interesting one because his ownership is 23%, and also as of now, I don't have Salah in my team, and which might seem mad to people because he's the FPL GOAT for me. I've had him every time, and I've had Salah in my team. This might be the first season ever since Salah's been in the Prem that I might start without him. I don't feel comfortable starting without Salah, if I'm being honest, especially in game week 2. The reason why I like Salah is if I had him in my team, I would definitely captain him against Bournemouth, even though obviously Haaland, I know backing against Haaland is risky, etc. But the whole point of having Salah, I think if you have him, that game week 2 captaincy looks very good. So that's one thing I'd like to do if I had him. Again, he's pricey, 12.5, but we know what Salah can do. At a bit of a off season, people want to say, but he's still got the numbers, and he was getting 19 goals and again, I think 11 or 12 assists. So yeah, I think Salah could still be a good option, but getting closer to the deadline, I might include him in, but it looks like I'm probably going to go without him. But yeah, I'm not overly happy about that. But it's just about the rest of the team and how I fit everyone else in.
I think with Salah, unless you're going to captain him and have him in your team, a lot of people will think, is it worth having Salah in your team if you're not going to captain a 12.5 million player? Because we do expect Haaland to be captain most weeks.
Yeah.
Sakalakas too. So is it Are we sort of overlooking well, overlooking Salah too much to have in your team? Judge from that 23%, it is a lot of money as well. And I think Salah will get more. We'll see more assists from Salah. I think we'll also see goals as well. But I do think he'll get more assists rather than the amount of ratio to goals he normally would get because of obviously Liverpool's new attacking front now. Maybe maybe the its stats has shifted maybe towards him being more of an assistant.
Yeah, because just going to add to that, actually, make a good point, because Liverpool have scored 15 goals in pre-season so far, and Salah's got 1 goal and 6 assists. So he's getting a lot more assists. Maybe that will change. Obviously, we don't really know who's going to play in that front three for Liverpool. It could be Nunez, it could be Gakpo, it could be Jota. But Salah's assists could go up for sure. Again, penalties is a big thing, so that will always be on Salah's side. So, but yeah, as of now, I think I will be going without him, but he can easily punish you, as we've seen against Bournemouth. He could easily. Roku, Edison in goal, because I need one City player who isn't a rotation risk. Fair enough. And can rotate him with Turner for game week 2 if he joins Forest. Interesting shout as well. Anyway, Jordan, what I was going to say, as we said in previous videos, we're going to do a community draft where we need you guys involved in the chat. So we're going to build like a FPL Duo community team where, I'm going to put out the rules. So if you can bring it up, Jordan, if you share your screen, we've made another like separate account, FPL account for the channel. And each week we're going to do like little challenges and stuff. And we're going to get the community, which is you guys, to help us build a team. And we're going to get your picks, and we're going to do votes and polls where you guys decide who we bring into our team as well. Just, for a bit of fun. So we're going to build a team now live with you guys, and we're going to get your recommendations as well while we build a team. And it's going to be your picks as well. So, but there is a few rules I was going to actually say. I had one idea of a rule that we could do for this community draft, and one of them was actually having differential players only. So players under, for me, 10%. So can we build a good team under 10%, or do you reckon it should be, Jordan, where we do any players we want, or do you want to go with a differential rule and do under 10% ownership players?
Yeah, I do think we should do like a rule, because otherwise we're going to pick like the players that we all have in the draft, and that's not really going to be much different to the other drafts we've made. So yeah, we definitely have a rule where maybe you're allowed to select a few amount of template players, but mostly we would like to differential ones.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got Uchiha. Evening to Uchiha. Hope you're well. Azuma, it's easier to have Salah in the beginning than to buy him without wildcard. Yeah, that's a good shout, because once you commit to a team without Salah, it's very hard to get to Salah, because you're going to have to sell 2 or 3 players to get to him. Whereas if you start with him and he doesn't do well, you could just get rid of him and bring it downgrade to any player you want in the game pretty much. Chris says, I think Salah is a must. You can pretty much put him in and swap Kovacic in for a 6.5 million mid. He played well today and was far more attacking. Interesting. We're going to get your thoughts on. Let us know, guys, what you think of the Salah. Are you going to have Salah? Are you going to have no Salah? Or are you going to have Mo Salah? Let us know in the chat below. Because we are probably going to go without him, it seems, at this moment in time. But yeah, Jordan, back to the community draft. So the rule is under 10% ownership. So differentials only. And we need your thoughts, guys. Let us know what goalkeeper under 10% you would want to select. So, Jordan, can you go on goalkeepers and then do ownership and as well, so we can see who to bring in? So, at the moment, what goalie do you fancy like bringing in, and who are the options?
Well, there are options for obviously goalkeepers under 10%. We've got Allison, Raya, Leno, Martinez, still if he's a starter, and Forster, and Flecken.
Sanchez might go to. I think Sanchez has gone to Chelsea. My bad.
Oh, Sanchez gone to Chelsea. Oh, okay, so
Roku's saying Flecken in goal. What's his ownership?
Flecken's ownership is 2.3%.
2.3. So we could go with Flecken, but is he going to start? He should do, shouldn't he? The Raya is expected to join Arsenal. That's not confirmed yet. What do you think of someone like Alisson and going big? 5.5 million goalie, because we're going to have a lot of budget because we're not going to have premiums really. We're going to have to go differential on our premiums as well. So
Absolutely.
we could actually have Alisson in there, cover Liverpool in case. But again, Liverpool clean sheets. As I said, I am worried about Liverpool in terms of clean sheets. So I'll let you pick. Let the chat pick actually. We'll put it to a little poll maybe. Azuma says go for Steele, and then Roku says Flecken in goal. So comment, guys, who you think we should put in our community draft team where ownership under 10% only. It's just for a fun thing, and we'll see how this team does. Flecken 4.5, Turner 4. Leno or Martinez says Chris. Leno for the save points, and Martinez is good at penalties.
It's true. Martinez is good on penalties.
I think let's go for Michael saying Johnston. I think Johnston could be a good shout. A Palace.
Yeah, he's 1.3% owned.
What's the fixtures like for Johnston?
His fixtures are
not
bad.
I think we go for him. Johnston. 1.3%, very low owned. Not many managers have got Palace anyway, so it could cover Palace defence if they start well. Sheffield, Arsenal, Brentford, Wolves, Villa. It's a good shout from Michael there.
Okay, so yeah, it's Johnston. Well, we got to pick two anyway, so let's add Johnston in there. So what would be the second goalkeeper pick?
Let's go with a 4 million cheap goalie. I mean, we could actually go expensive because we're going to have a lot of budget. But let's leave the goalie for now. Let's pick our premium where we're going to build the team around. Because is there any premiums that are like under 10% ownership?
What shall we start with forwards?
Any really. If you go sort by price, what's Harry Kane's ownership? Is it under 10%? Because if it is, then I think we should include Harry Kane. I don't think it is. Johnston and Martinez rotate well, apparently.
Harry Kane's 12.5%.
We can't have Harry Kane then.
On 11.9, sorry.
11.9, so yeah, we can't have him. João Pedro. And also, what formation are we going to play? Let us know in the chat. What formation should we play for this under 10% differential draft?
Okay, so in terms of underneath 10%, you've got Wilson, Archer, João Pedro, Mbama from West Ham, Gakpo. It's 5.8.
You know what I think? I think I'm going to actually check on my screen as well because I can't really see your screen fully. Under 10%, I like Gakpo. But again, a lot of people might think he may not start. I think he's going to start. So I wouldn't be against going with someone like Gakpo. I think Gakpo is going to start against Chelsea, and I do like him as a pick. Wilson, also like that pick. Also, a quick thing. You know, we're picking these players right now, and Wilson's under 9.8%. If he becomes 10%, let's say by tomorrow, does that mean we have to take him out, or how are we doing it? Because when the deadline comes, his ownership is going to go up. Does that mean we have to take him out? I'm assuming we do.
Yeah, that could be a thing where we might have to switch players out, but then we can probably tweet out a replacement for Wilson if players like him do go over ownership after this stream with selected players.
Okay, so what we do it as if players go over the 10% ownership by the deadline, they have to come out and we have to replace them. So it has to be before the deadline. So yeah, who do you want to add in? There's options here. Wissa, there's Wilson, just a couple of Wilson shouts. So I'm assuming we'll add Wilson in.
Wilson it is. He'll be our first forward pick.
Yo, Wilson's gone up to 9.9 apparently.
Might be the influence of the pick. But
Jackson. What do you reckon about Jackson? Well, he's over 10%, ain't he? I think he is.
He's 13.2.
Yeah, we can't have him. João Pedro, obviously, we mentioned him earlier on the stream.
Yeah, he's 6.5% owned.
I think we add him in.
Right.
I think he could be a good option. Penalties. Looks like he's going to start as well up front for Brighton, which have good fixtures, are an attacking team. And it breaks the template a bit.
Right, he's our second forward option.
Let's add a heavy hitter in midfield.
Okay.
Who's there under 10% that we can bring in?
On 10%, we've got Almiron, Enciso, Grealish, Declan Rice, Diaby, Anderson.
What about James Maddison?
James Maddison.
I think he's to be fair, I think he's over. I think he's over 10%.
He's 11.9, so he's just over 10%.
I'm looking at the midfielders now. Mason Mount, Szoboszlai, Havertz. I think Havertz is the one I'd put in the team. If I'm being, I know he should have scored today against City, but he's at 5.2%. There's quite a few shouts for Son as well.
Son, yeah, he's an interesting one to go for. He's only 4.8% owned at 9 million.
Yeah, help us in the chat, guys. Who would you add in? The Son from Roku, Diaby. Chris says Son, Jota, Almiron, Bernardo, Kulusevski, Luis Diaz as well. If he starts, which I'm not sure he will, but again, Liverpool play tomorrow, so we'll probably get a better idea. I like the Son shout.
Yeah, I think Son is a winner. I think a lot of you in the chat want Son, so yeah, we'll add him in. He can be our first midfielder pick.
What does the chat think about Havertz? Let us know, guys. Havertz, I think he's 5% owned. Do you think we should include Havertz in the community draft, or is he an ignore? Because I think Havertz playing up front, playing up front for Arsenal in the opening day, he could be a very good option. Roku says Grealish. At least Grealish is probably going to be nailed to start, but I don't know how many goals he's going to get, really. He's not really gets many goals or assists, I don't think.
He had 5 goals last season and 10 assists.
Yeah, more assists. I mean, you could. I think Diaby is one I do like, though, which is a shout from David Hamill. I see Roku mentioned Diaby as well.
Diaby 6.5 million and 6.2% owned. Yeah, for Aston Villa.
Yeah. What's the Aston Villa fixture list like?
Aston Villa's fixtures, apart from Newcastle, Liverpool, they're pretty good.
Okay, that's one to come back on. I think Havertz is one. Yuchiha also says Havertz would be the only nailed on Arsenal attacker we could get, so good shout. Yeah, I think Havertz, I'd like to include him as a differential. Playing at Arsenal, he's probably going to start as well.
So is Havertz going in?
Yeah, let's put Havertz in for now.
Okay. Havertz is the second midfielder pick.
I think we need a Man City option. Grealish could be that player. We probably want a Man United option. We don't have any Man United assets. What about someone like Anthony?
No, I completely forgot about Anthony.
What's his ownership situation like?
He's 1.7%.
So super low ownership, and he's nailed to start every game.
And he is 7 million.
And he's 7 million. Playing for Man United's attack. What do you guys think about Anthony Let us know in the chat, guys. Also, if you are enjoying this content, please do make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. I think we're close to, the next target is about 900 subscribers. If we can get there, that would be appreciated. I wouldn't mind going against Anthony, or if you want to include him, because I'm just thinking what Man United player we can add in. Anthony, he did score, I think, in Man United's game yesterday to make it 2-1, was it? He's not the worst option. Roku says no Anthony, Mount instead. I'm not sure. I think Anthony could get more goals than Mount. And what's Mount's ownership like?
Mount's ownership, he's 5.5%.
So we could go for Mount.
7. I mean, he's wearing the iconic number 7. If that's any benefit.
Yeah.
Big boots to fill in that number.
I just like Anthony because he's 1.7%. That's super low. So proper differential, I guess. And no one's got Anthony in their team really. So we could just be different. Go with Anthony, and he's gonna start every game. But yeah, we'll put it to the chat. Mount or Anthony, guys, just drop it in the chat. Who you think we should have? What about the defense though? Let's move on to the defense.
So yeah, in terms of defense, we got Zinchenko, who's dead on 10%. Obviously the Arsenal Ben White.
We can't have them then.
Virgil van Dijk's 9.4%. Bulldog 8.7%. Bulldogs on Sheffield. Lamptey's Brighton 8.4%. Ben Mee actually is probably a decent pick because he's 7.4% owned, but I'm surprised he's not higher.
Yeah, we probably want nailed players as well that are going to start week in, week out. Van Dijk at 9.4 if you want Liverpool cover, slight attacking threat as well on Van Dijk from headers. He did score a header against Bayern Munich in the preseason friendly. Chris says Timber is good. Yeah, he did start today instead of Zinchenko on that left side inverting. So Timber is interesting, but I'm not sure yet still if he's going to start. Well, I think he should. I'm not sure.
He did really well today, Timber.
Yeah, he did. He looked good. Gonna add him in, Timber.
Yeah, we can add Timber in. That's a very good shout. 3.2% owned at 5 million.
David also says Ruben Diaz. Not seeing his ownership, but he could be a good option because you know he's another player that is usually quite nailed.
And he's at 7.3.
Yeah, I think that's a good option to cover the Man City defense. Low ownership as well. Robertson, Porro, Ben Mee. I'm not keen on Robertson if I'm being honest. I don't think Liverpool will keep that many clean sheets for some reason. Unless they, in the next couple of weeks to go out and buy a defensive midfielder. And the way Liverpool are playing right now, Robertson is a bit more. Obviously, he's still going forward, but not as much as Trent, where Trent's inverting. So I think we could see a drop off in assists in Robertson, but that's just my thoughts. Robertson, a couple of shouts for him. Cash.
Oh, Matty Cash.
Yeah.
Interesting pick.
Henry at Brentford as well. We could play we're playing a 3-man defense, I'm assuming, with maybe 5 midfielders, or maybe I think 3-4-3 could be good, playing 3 up front and having like 3 exciting differential strikers.
Yes, definitely. That's totally different.
Yeah. Obviously, Son's the premium. Would you want to add in another player, like in terms of that premium price bracket? I don't know who there is. Let us know, guys, who else we can add into the team. There's quite a lot of shouts coming in. Tarkovsky is nailed and a good aerial threat with good fixtures.
Tarkovsky 3.5% at 4.5 million, and fixture wise, he has Fulham, Aston Villa, Sheffield. Yeah, that's annoyingly, Everton, have really good fixtures.
You could add him in even as a bench player if you want. Don't know how much upside he has. Obviously, he does score a couple of goals a season. It seems. No, he got a few last season.
Yeah, he
Was
scored
just just the one goal.
one assist.
It's up to you. Who you want to add in?
He had 38 starts. Pretty good. Pretty much every match.
We can go back to Grealish. Uchiha, is Grealish a good one to cover City? But is he nailed now? I think he is quite nailed, to be fair. And that left hand side, I think he'll start majority of the fixtures.
Yeah, let's throw Grealish in. I don't think you can go wrong with either Grealish or Foden. Are big good picks.
Yeah, I think what's his ownership like?
7.4%.
Yeah, I think suits the parameters. Mitrovic says Roku, Sterling from David. Sterling's an interesting shout. I think he's not owned by much, and I think I'd want a Chelsea asset to be different. And his ownership, what, 2.4%?
2.4%.
What do you reckon for Sterling?
He's not. He didn't have a bad. Well, he didn't have a bad season last. He scored 6 and assisted 4. He had 23 match starts.
7 million as well, price tag.
Yeah, massive degrading price. I think it was 9 million last season.
Mudryk as well, you can go for, or Sterling. I think Sterling's an interesting one. I wouldn't mind going with Sterling. I think he has started in preseason as well, so Beslut and Kunku out injured. Sterling could be a good shout.
I think Sterling has set a place there in the midfield. We add him in, so he's the 4th midfielder.
We could get a cheap. We could go for a cheap midfielder and then have an expensive forward and have 3 up front. What do you guys reckon? Would you let us know? What formation should we play?
Yeah, that might have to go down to a vote on the formation. It would be interesting to see 5 at the back though. That's the formation. Like big at the back.
Yeah, I think big at the back's dead this season. To be honest, I remember last season where a lot of people started with the wing backs: the Trent, Robertson.
Yeah.
There was the Tottenham guy. I forgot his name. Perisic, Ben Chilwell, etc.
It could do well this season, surprisingly, because you've got Estupinian, you've got Trent, Luke Shaw, who else? Maybe a Kanji. He did show a bit of attacking threat on the left hand side.
I think 3-4-3 and be different because not many managers are going to play 3-4-3 with 3 up top. So I think 3-4-3, but let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, there's this 40.5 million left in the bank, so yeah, it's plenty of money to splash out on this differential team.
Yeah, Chris saying Buendia has been on fire this preseason. Yeah, I think he scored again today, didn't he? Obviously with the Coutinho assist, I think it was.
Yeah.
We don't look to Aston Villa, have we? Maybe to include an Aston Villa. Diaby, I do like Diaby. He scored twice already, I think, in preseason for Aston Villa. So I like Diaby.
Diaby 6.2% owned. That's no stats. Obviously, he's new to the season.
But I would go there, Diaby. We had a couple of shouts earlier as well that so we can add Diaby in.
Okay, he'll be the final pick in the midfield, so the midfield is complete.
All right, bear with me a sec, 2 seconds. I'm gonna get a charger, but add some defenders probably in next.
Yeah, so there's 3 more spots for defenders, 1 more spot for goalkeeper, and 1 forward position. So yeah, send them in the chat, guys. Who you think you guys want in these positions that are left? So got Kepa, Pope. Kepa's an interesting one. Do we see clean sheets for Chelsea? I don't know, but I do like
Could
Pope.
do.
Yeah, you could see it. I think
Ben
Pope,
White.
We can't have Pope because he's over 10%. He's 12.4% owned.
Okay, yeah. Pope. Can't have him.
But Kepa, what's his ownership?
think it's quite low, Kepa. I think we should add a forward in though. If we're playing 3 up front.
He's 1.6. No.
Yeah, if we're playing 3-4-3,
Yeah.
gotta have a bit of a benching headache because one of Diaby, Sterling, Grealish, Havertz, Son is going to be on the bench. So I don't know who that's going to be. We could just play 3-5-2. What do you reckon? Because not as many forwards, I feel like.
No, there's not many decent forwards with good fixtures at the start. But yeah, we could do the 3-5-2.
But what about Cash? Because that's been mentioned.
I make Cash.
I don't know about Cash.
Yeah, 5.3% ownership. He had 2 assists last season, no goals, and had 20 match starts, 4.5 million. So
I'm not sure, but we'll put it to the chat, I guess.
Does have a price reduced to 4.5. I think he was 5 million last season. He does have Newcastle as his first fixture.
All right, guys. I think we'll probably put in. I don't see many clean sheets probably from Aston Villa. What's the fixtures like at the start? They have got Emery now. We'll see. Pau Torres has joined as well in that defense. So
apart from Newcastle and Liverpool, they're good.
Uchiha also about the goalies, Martinez and Johnston. The fixtures rotate quite nicely.
Martinez. Yeah, I suppose they do. Martinez is 7.9%. He's 5 million goalkeeper. And kept 11 clean sheets last season.
All right, we'll probably put Martinez in. 5 million as well, so quite cheap.
Yeah, so that pretty much is the goalkeeper's complete now. So
we've still got quite a lot of money left to spend.
Yeah,
we can literally get a proper nice squad, have a massive benching headache as well.
Yeah, unless we want to include Haaland as even though it's
we can't have Haaland. We can't have Haaland. That's just gonna kill the team. You know, we gotta be different and see how even captaincy as well. Like we're gonna have to captain a new player every week, so that's gonna be interesting. Colwell and Van Dijk have been shouts for the defense. So Colwell's at 4.5, who's cheap, gets into the Chelsea. It looks like he's gonna start.
Colwell, yeah, 2.9% owned, 4.5 million, cheap.
KDB's been not mentioned. I'm not sure if he's going to start the season though. He could do. So he did play today. But I don't know what his ownership situation is like. But I think he will be under 10. What is KDB's ownership, Jordan?
KDB's ownership is 13.
Yeah, can't have him. All right, let's put in Colwell. I think we should get a Man United defender in, personally. Whether that's Luke Shaw or I don't know who starts, Varane, Martinez, or Dalot if he's playing, or Wan-Bissaka. Maybe we want to cover Man United because we don't have a Man United player in the team.
Varane,
there's not much attacking threat, I guess, with Varane. So it will be more like clean sheets that we're covering. Luke Shaw, again, his ownership's 10% plus, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, he's third most highest.
Yeah.
He's 28.
What about Dalot? So there was rotation risk there with Wan-Bissaka.
He's 2.1%.
Do we take the risk and just get Dalot?
I mean, yeah, we've got bench options that could possibly replace Dalot if he doesn't play at all.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's add him in then. Let's add Dalot in. covers Man United, also attacking threat when he does play. I think that's the team. I'm not sure about Timber though as well, if he's going to start. So we need a player that's more nailed than Timber. Because Timber might not start. It could be Ben White and Zinchenko. Who else would you go for though? What defense as well that we like to target? We've got Man United,
There's Lewis Dunk.
Brighton coverage.
He's 4% owned, and no one's really looked at him, which I'm surprised about because everyone's just gone to SGP in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could add Dunk in. He also has, I think he scored only got 1 goal last season, didn't he?
Yes, he got 1 goal and 1 assist last season, but I think I still like him as a pick. I think someone
Guys, help us out in the chat. Let us know who to the last couple of positions. Michelle with a comment, hi, what's this strategy? So what we've done is we're doing a community draft for our channel, and the rules are we have to only select players under 10% ownership. So basically differentials under 10%, and every week we're gonna get you guys, the viewers, to help us make transfers and changes, new captains. We're gonna put it all to a poll and then see what the community, at the end of the season where we finish as like an overall rank. But we could only pick like obscure players. I think Porro as well. I think Porro is an exciting pick to be different.
Pedro Porro for Spurs.
Yeah. 3.4%. Bit of excitement. And he's probably going to play.
Yeah, he got 3 goals and 3 assists from 13 match starts, so that's pretty good. So yeah, we can add Pedro Porro in there.
I want exciting players, because if we're going to go differential, like we'd rather go players with high upside.
Okay, so we've got 19 million left.
What about Reece James or another Chelsea defender? That is Reece James' ownership, I think, is under 10%. Oh no, sorry, it's 15%.
15%.
Damn.
Chilwell's is also 11%. So we can't have any.
Van Dijk has been mentioned.
Van Dijk, he's 9.4, so yeah, we just about can creep Van Dijk in there.
I'd rather go Robertson if you're going Liverpool, I think.
Robertson needs 3.8.
Chris also with a comment, we have the money for Robertson, but not sure if he's worth it. Because again, I mean, we could go Robertson. Just not keen on it myself, but to be different, covers Liverpool. He does have attacking potential, even though I do think it will come down this season. But yeah.
So what is it going to be, Van Dijk or Robertson?
I think let's add Robertson in for now and leave it. We might make changes ahead of the deadline, but we spent a while on it. We'll probably put this team up on Twitter. Let us know what you guys think in terms of any changes that you want made. We've got enough money. We've got 12.5 in the bank, I think. Actually, we've got to add a forward. So just add a cheap 4 million forward or whatever. Actually, you could have a good forward. And then just rotate the squad out.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of this draft. You can rotate whoever you want, whoever has a good fixture.
Let's add someone like Gakpo in, I think.
And
then we'll have a little benching headache.
And Gakpo completes the final person in the squad. Yeah, we've got 5 million left in the bank, and that is all the 15 players selected. All
right, let's confirm that team. Let's pick our captains as well, and we'll revisit this, guys. Just call it the FPL Duo Community Draft. We're going to revisit this on every deadline stream for the last, after we do our teams, we're going to go to this community draft as well, and then we're going to get your thoughts on what players to take out. It's more of a fun thing, so we'll probably keep it short, and then we'll do a few transfers and see who we could bring in.
I just have to put draft because I can't write the whole thing up.
Okay, cool.
Obviously, choose a club. We'll go for none.
Yeah, cool.
It's a community.
All righty, we're done. That's what it looks like. I think I'd want to start. I probably want to play 3. I think we'll bench Timber. I think that's a risky one because he's got Forest. I'll let you decide who to bench. But yeah, who going captain?
We could possibly do a poll for that on captaincy. Or what people think who to captain.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the best fixture?
Yeah, we'll probably do a little poll on Twitter, but we'll put that up on there, guys. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the FPL Duo. But yeah, we're probably going to wrap it up here. We've been just over an hour and a half. So
I think what we could do is if we could on Twitter vote, people could vote for the formation they want with this team at captaincy and vice captaincy and who to put on the bench and whatnot. I think that would be. Also,
Discord. I think Discord, we've obviously set up a Discord. Make sure you follow us on Discord, guys, because I think there would be the best because we can chat and sort the team out. So make sure you follow us on Discord. There's a link, I believe, in the description below. And I'll also tweet out a link again on Twitter. So make sure you check us out on the socials. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here, guys. It's been a good stream. Obviously, it was quite a fun stream today. We're back to team selection and all that good stuff starting on Tuesday. I think we're going to stream Tuesday and then Thursday and then deadline stream Friday. So make sure you do join us Friday deadline stream. It should be a great one. And yeah, a lot of content to come this season. I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers as well. And hopefully we have a good 23-24 season. But yeah, I've not got much else to say. Do you want to add anything else to it? Or I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, that's pretty much been it. It has been a long stream. And yeah, thanks for everyone for watching the stream. There's been a lot of you. Very interactive chat. Thanks for all the input for this community draft as well. But yeah, 5 days to go before the Premier League starts. Very exciting. So yeah, we'll definitely see you for Friday when the deadline stream does creep up on us.
Yeah, guys, make sure you join us on deadline stream live as well. But we'll be streaming throughout this week. So yeah, take care and have a good rest of your weekend. Take care.